Hey, what's up guys? It's Pager here from noobcoder.com, and in this tutorial we are going to be talking about Booleans and comparison operators. So to get started, a Boolean is just another data type, and this data type can either be true or false. Alright, so for example, what I could do is actually print this out for us. So we have our standard print method, and we're going to print out a Boolean, so it's either going to be true, and it must start with a capital, or it can be false. Now, what I want to prove to you is that this true or false is of type Boolean. So what we're going to do is just print out true, and then what I want to do underneath it is print out type, and we're just going to pass in true. So the top should just print out true, and the second line should just print out the type of true. So let's go ahead and save this. Go ahead and execute. And you see that we get the following output. So we get true printed out, which is expected. But for our type, we get a type of bool, which is short form for Boolean. And likewise, if I was to do this with false, you'll see that we'll get the same exact response. So go ahead and save. Go ahead and execute, and we get an output of false, and we get a type of Boolean. All right, so from here, let's build on this idea of true and false, and let's talk about comparison operators. And to do that, I'm going to create two variables. We're going to have num1, and we'll give it a value of 1, and we'll have num2, and we'll assign it the value of 2, for example. So we've already been introduced to mathematical operators where we add num1 and num2 together and we get an output. But what I want to do is, instead of adding or subtracting or dividing or any of that stuff, is I want to compare num1 to num2. So for example, I want to build, and this is called a Boolean expression. So I'm just going to say num1 is going to be equal to num2. So that's what this double equal sign means. It means that I want to compare num1 to num2, and I want to check to see if they're equal. This whole thing is a Boolean expression, and this Boolean expression gives us back true or false. So if I was just to print this out to the console, let's see what we end up getting. Go ahead and save. Go ahead and execute this. And you see that we get false down here, because is 1 equal to 2? No, it's not. So we end up with false. So this double equal sign stands for equality. You want to compare this side to this side and see if they're equal or not. So let's actually make this a little bit more prettier. So I'm just going to comment this out. So Control / and highlight it if you want to comment this out. And what we're going to do is, let's give a nice output. So I want to output what we're doing. So let's go ahead and use an F string, and we'll say num1 equal to num2. And let's go ahead and write a little comment just so we're aware of what this code does. So this code is going to compare if num1 is equal to num2. All right. So let's give more examples of comparison operators. So I'm just going to copy this, paste this down here. And this time, instead of double equal, we can use less than. So is num1 less than num2? And we could change this here, have a little less than sign. Let's go ahead and give us a comment, Control / and we'll say num1 is less than num2. Okay, so let's actually run this. So we'll go ahead and save. Go ahead and execute this. And you'll see we get a nice little output. Is num1 equal to 2? Evaluates the false. Is 1 less than 2? Yes, it is. So this evaluates the true. And we could keep going. So let's keep going with examples of using comparison operators. So this time we have less than. So let's go ahead and change this to greater than. So is num1 greater than num2? Go ahead and save. Go ahead and execute. And you can see, is num1 bigger than num2? This evaluates to false. Now there are a couple more comparison operators. So let's go ahead and keep going. So we have equal to, less than, greater than, and we could do not equals to. So in order to compare if two things are not equal to each other, we use the exclamation point and the equal sign. So let's go ahead and copy that, paste that here. So if num1 is not equal to num2, so we'll change that within our comments. So if num1 is not equal to num2, go ahead and save, go ahead and execute. And you can see num1 does not equal to num2, so we get true. Giving two more examples of this, we're almost done. All we need to do, paste this, and let's knock this out at the same time. So we have less than and greater than, but we also have less than or equal to, and we also have greater than or equal to. So let's go ahead and change this here. So is num1 less than or equal to, and is num1 greater than or equal to? And don't forget to change this. And let's go ahead and save. Let's go ahead and execute. And you can see, is num1 less than or equal to 2? Gives us true. Is 1 greater than or equal to 2? Gives us false. So we've been doing this all with numbers, but we can also do this with strings. So for example, let's give a string example with comparison operators. And let's go ahead and create another variable. So I'll just say first name, and we'll set it to Pedro. Now, with strings, you can either test if something is equal to or is not equal to. So we're going to use this double equal sign for equals, or not equal, exclamation point and equal sign. So for example, let's say that I want to print out, is first name equal to Pedro, which this should evaluate to true. So if I go ahead and save and now execute, you'll see that we get true back printed out. Now this is case sensitive. So for example, if I was to change this to little p, so Pedro, and go ahead and save, go ahead and execute, you see now that it'll evaluate to false. So this is case sensitive. And likewise, if you want to test if it's not equal to something, put back Pedro, for example, go ahead and save, go ahead and execute, and you see this evaluates to false because Pedro is obviously equal to Pedro, and we're testing to see if it's not equal. So if I was to change this to Peter, for example, go ahead and save, this should evaluate to true. And you see that we get the output of true. So that is pretty much all I wanted to cover within this tutorial. So we covered what is a Boolean, and we also went over some comparison operators. So I hope you guys learned something, and I hope to see you guys in the next tutorial.